All right, welcome to ACAB Radio. We are live broadcasting from the Happy Earth Market. ACAB Radio is brought to you by Food Not Bombs Las Vegas. That's foodnotbombslasvegas.org and Nevada Cop Block, nvcopblock.org. And we have a very special guest for you today. His name is Chairman Fred with the Black Panther Party. Can you hear us, Chairman?
It's Chairman Fred Hampton Jr.
We're a little muffled. Okay. We're doing a little bit of trying to get this on because we're doing it non-traditionally.
All right. How's that? Is that a little better?
Right on.
There we go.
There you go, right on.
All right, cool.
Cool. Thank you for joining us today. We do appreciate you taking the time and, giving us some information and laying some stuff on us. This will be great.
Well, thank you for having me.
No problem. If you don't know us, I'm in the blue. I'm King Ron. Next to me is Kelly, or Special K, and then we have Jay Lifer on the end. So at least you'll know who you're talking to, and you'll know our voices. Would you tell us a little bit, maybe give us a little bit of history, and we can start us off with a little bit about exactly what's going on and where you came from. We'd like to know.
Where you're going.
Well, let me premise with this. Give me a heads up if some of this background noise becomes a problem, because I'm literally outside as we do the interview. But again, as I'm saying, right on for giving me the opportunity to get on air with you, the listeners, and the people in general. I've often said that in the eyes of the government, in the eyes of the state, I may be defined as a three-strike offender. One for simply being African, two for being the son of Chairman Fred Hampton and also of a core in Jerry, Dept Johnson, and three for continuing to fight for the liberation of our people.
Mm-hmm.
I'm humbled and I'm honored to be the international chairman of the Black Panther Party Cubs, an organization that attempts to walk in not the footsteps but the Panther footsteps of the Black Panther Party. I'm also a former political prisoner. I don't know what type of list of orders we got right here, but I don't think I can. I'll be remiss if I don't point out that Chairman Fred was assassinated by the federal government via the Chicago Police Department, along with that his comrade, Detective Demar Clark, December the 4th, 1969, a date in which we define as one of the most brutal acts of terrorism that occurred on U.S. soil on the west side of Chicago. And the organization I chair the Black Panther Party Cubs. It's a revolutionary organization that deals with issues ranging from, but not limited to, the continuous police terrorism that we subjected to, the question of political prisoners, to miseducation and going to schools, you name it. And we attempt to turn the communities into classrooms, and we see ourselves as servants of the people.
That's true. The history of the Black Panther Party, is a history of revolutionary action. There are things that are going on today, systems in place that were instituted by the Black Panther Party. People aren't even aware of. The school lunch program being one was something that was co-opted by the state, but they didn't start it. So,
No doubt about it. No doubt about it. Much of the legacy of the Black Panther Party remains to be under attack. And ironically, Malcolm X, I say ironically because of the fact that one of our mantras of our organization is that we are the great-grandchildren of Garvey, the offspring of Malcolm, and ideological colors of the Panther Party. But it was Malcolm X who, when he referenced the March on Washington, he said, one of the tactics of the state, or the system is that they can't stop it. Until they co-opt it, water it down, change it, make it so it ain't to be. And we've seen that with some of those survival programs the Black Panther Party implemented, such as the free breakfast program. In fact, Chicago alone, the Black Panther Party has had a minimum of 3,500 children a week. And even such revolutionary act is that of the Rainbow Coalition, and which is implemented under the tenure of Chairman Fred Hampton. The state attempted to, the state directly and many revisionists of history attempted to co-opt that legacy and say there was people like
can't disagree with that. One of the things I had the pleasure of hearing you speak here in Las Vegas was a while ago, and my son was there, and we got some really great photos. One of the things that I really took away from there and had a lot of meaning to me, and I want to kind of have you explain again, is it was very important you said about the use of vocabulary and about the way we describe what happens. Things, now I might be a little bit off, but, it's not police, it's pigs, it's not arrest, it's kidnapping. Would you go a little bit into that and run through what you remember of that? Let the people know, because vocabulary is so important that we use the proper terminology, man, so that people do understand.
Language, like everything else, is political. Again, language, like everything, is political. The terms, the jargon, music, poetry, everything is political. And one of the things that the state, they attempt to do is to devalue that, or to have the people be dismissive about that. They say, well, that's not a big thing. It's simply a word or a term. Again, we understand that everything is political. In addition to that, we also, as an oppressed community, we recognize that being oppressed is embarrassing. It's embarrassing being oppressed. So a lot of times, knowingly or unknowingly, we may engage in liberalism and say, well, don't push the line. Let's go along with these euphemisms, these nice words to acknowledge, or better yet, not acknowledge brutal realities. Nice euphemisms like terms like gentrification, which sounds pretty nice. But the deal is, opposition is it's a land grab. It's a land grab. Terms like correctional center. No, these are concentration camps. Even if the term police brutality. The reality is this police terrorism. Mm-hmm. And we struggle to put those and use these brutal terms to just distress brutal realities. Because again, it's an old saying that says knowing is half of the battle. Knowing is half of the battle. So just to acknowledge this, one of the major disadvantages with African communities in the U.S. in particular is that it's not an acknowledged war. Other locations are afforded the luxury, if you will, to acknowledge terms like political prisoners, terms like propaganda bombs. However, when it comes down to, in regards to our community in particular, is propaganda bombs are euphemised to be called love and hip-hop shows. You know what I'm saying? The actual war is waged on us. It's called war on gangs, war on drugs. You would be hard-pressed if you even try to attempt to Google police murder someone in the States. The media has extremely skillful in the way it's worded, the way it's termed. They'll say someone died as a result of a police encounter. Mm-hmm. In fact, we had a big uproar, some years back. We had challenged this modern day Pied Piper, Jay-Z, this hip hop artist, where we referred to as Slazy. When he had in his music, he said he arrived the same day Fred Hampton died. He was referencing the fact that his birthday happened to be the same day, same year, Chairman Fred Hampton was assassinated. And a lot of people say, well, you're making a big deal out of words and terms, Chairman. Well, our position was no. We must use brutal terms for brutal realities. The fact is, by all accounts, whatever side of the political spectrum you reside on, there's no doubt about it. Chairman Fred Hampton, Detective Lamar Clark, was assassinated December the 4th, 1969. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's one of those things where the terminology is incredibly important, and it's not even the in-your-face stuff like that. It's even the subtle stuff where they talk about officer-involved shootings, and the thing they say with that is it removes that fact that it's an aggressive act by the police. It's just something they were involved in, basically. Yes. And the other thing is, the other thing is a lot of people might not know the history and the actual circumstances behind Fred Hampton's murder. And that was an actual assassination. They drugged him, and he was asleep at the time that they broke into his house. And then they tried to say that the Panthers there had shot at the police. And the reality is they broke into the house, and there was a couple shots fired, but they were fired in self-defense. and it was the police that riddled the house with bullets.
Yes. This was a pre-planned. It was, I mean, even we noted that even before Chairman Fred became Chairman Fred, when he was 14 years old, the Washington D.C. Bureau of the FBI had called for my grandmother, his mother's telephone to be tapped. When they had seen his organizing capabilities, so he took the junior NAACP from 7 to approximately 700 to 300 members in about 7.5 month time period. They gave him trumped up cases. He was a political prisoner. They tried to get Chairman Fred assassinated on the street before. Also when he was locked up in the infamous Menard concentration camp. And they it was exposed after the independent autopsy that they went so far, the government went so far as to have Agent Rocketeur play fentanyl, a knockout drug, inside the Kool-Aid of Chairman Fred. So this is all these characteristics of to be applied in Wells will be an acknowledged assassination. But it's an attempt to euphemize and water down the importance of a people, the importance of a struggle, and again, to not even acknowledge that there is a war being waged on us.
Yeah, and it's something that goes even beyond just individual groups like the Black Panthers, because the FBI had the COINTELPRO program that was going on, and that was partly in reaction to the Black Panthers and what they were doing in the communities and how they were creating self-sustaining communities that the government couldn't control. And that's one of those things when you see like the government coming down on food not bombs and those kind of things. Anything that creates a situation where the government doesn't have you dependent on them and allows people to realize that they don't have to be dependent on the government sees that as a threat and they try to destroy it.
That's very true. And as Chairman Fred said, there is, I mean, I say it all the time, there's a police war against the people. Hopefully more and more people are waking up to that fact. We're at war every day. Every time they come and harass us at Food Not Bombs, and every time they harass the people that are there, it's just more evidence of, when you make the government irrelevant, they really come down hard. They know that the true power is with the people, and they're going to do everything in their power to stop us from succeeding. And assassinations is not something that they'll shy away from. So it is it's a scary thing. I know you guys you do a lot of good work in the communities in Las Vegas. One of the members, we have the Triple C's here, and the it was RGB Fridays that was going on here. These programs, could you tell us a little bit about these programs and how it helps empower the community and takes back the power?
Early, you mentioned some of the programs the Black Panther Party have provided. Programs such as the pre-breakfast program. We, the Black Panther Party Cubs, we attempt walking up again the Paul steps, the Panther Paul steps, their organization. We say it's a tough act to follow. We try our best, and we don't do it in some sort of abstract type of way. We attempt to correlate in a concrete way, serving the people. Such case examples with our weekly program, Freedom on Radio, the Black Panther Party had the Black Panther Party in the community newspaper. We recognize the importance of information, getting information out. In fact, the Black Panther Party said the information is raw material for new ideas. The information is raw material for new ideas. The Bible programs, such as the Triple C's, the Children Community Cubs, every Saturday, whether it be the Favelas in Brazil, whether it be with our information centers back in Africa, or right in the streets with the influence referred to as Chirac, or right there in Las Vegas. Our forces are right there providing real deal substance to the people, but not giving it to them in a charitable, like some sort of charity. Getting the people involved the support that y'all have provided with the Triple C's right there in Las Vegas. And so again, we are service of the people and also service of history. And the military people, when we talk about survival programs, you say, don't do not see this as the end all panacea, the end all cure. The situation we're facing. However, these survival programs are necessary because the people have to be alive in order to have a revolution. So again, these programs are a major staple, you know what I'm saying? And without the people's support, these programs cannot move forward. And without the people, we cannot move forward.
Now, I came upon that you do a Fremont radio or a podcast. Could you explain a little bit about it and how people can get to see it? I'm fortunate that I know Tanisha, and Tanisha clues me in whenever it's on. But there's got to be other people out there. I mean, how do we get the word out about the Fremont radio and what exactly you do on that show?
Fremont Radio is an international program for programs of Black Panther Party Cubs. Again, it's mainly directors getting information out. We address issues ranging from what's the current state of the hip hop to the recent cases of police terrorism. In fact, this past last Wednesday, we were honored to have recently, and I emphasize recently, released political prisoner Dept Africa, who was assaulted and attacked by the infamous Philadelphia police department and gangsters like Frank Rizzo and so many others, who was resulted to be the Move 9, who was locked up, and Dept Africa who gave birth to her child Mike Africa, to her husband, Mike Africa Sr, while she was locked up. This August was 40 years that she's in the prison. However, she's just released, and she touched down. We were the first. Fremont Radio was one of the first. We had the opportunity to do an interview with her, as well as Mike Africa. He's had hip-hop parties. We've had updates on what's going on in Ghana, Ireland. You know what I'm saying? So again, it's an international venue that's making the case what's going down. Matter of fact, tomorrow, we'll be discussing the cases, some of the latest cases of police terrorism, Minnesota, Pittsburgh, Antoine Rose case, Minnesota, even the contradictions in regard to mental health that's happening in Chicago or Chirac. A lot of people are talking about. And also the young brother who was murdered by the Chicago police, Carl Carpenter. They said he was taken to the police station. He supposed to die between the police station, the 37th Road, and also the Evans Cook County Jail. We'll be talking about that tomorrow. So we are out there making a connection from Iraq to Chirac. You know what I'm saying? From the Congo to Chicago, and especially internationalism. And we can re-emphasize them to everything. Again, everything is political, not dismissing or negating when to some issue or contradiction becomes politically correct to address. We are on the ground, season time, putting out there in layman's terms so people can relate to it, get people involved. How can you get what you call in, the mobilization, whatever. You know, so use the program to get this people, they are their own liberators.
So is it a weekly show or is it more often than that?
Fremont Radio is a weekly show. You can go on YouTube tomorrow at 6:30 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. Central Time and type in we can't up to the ante. You can be on Intellectual Radio. You type in Intellectual Radio on YouTube. We live and direct on Facebook. You catch us on Facebook on my page, Fred Hampton. People can call in. They can call from their cell phones, 929-477-3785. You know what I'm saying? Call in. You know what I'm saying? They can hear on the phone. They can hear online. You know what I'm saying? We got callers calling from inside the prisons, inside the concentration camps, from the college campuses, from the barbershops, the pool halls. You name it. You know what I'm saying? It's a people's thing, and people are relating to it.
Yeah. So it would be 6:30 Central Time every Wednesday.
Every Wednesday.
Right.
8:30 p.m. Central Time. It's hosted by myself, Chairman Fred Hampton Jr., and also Robin Allen, a.k.a. the Lady of Rage. Known to me as the rock and roll stuff, the Afro Puffs,
yeah. So locally here in Vegas, it would be 4:30 to 6:30, just so people know out there.
Yeah.
Right. Hey, give us the number one more time to call in to the show.
The calling number is 929-477-3785. 929-477-3785.
All right.
Awesome. The name of the show is Free 'Em All. Could you explain the idea behind the name of the show so everybody knows exactly?
Yes.
What does that mean?
Free 'em all. At least we intentionally say it with a slang. Free 'em all. That's our main mantra. That's our main, that's our call. That's the call that you hear when we greet each other. That's the call throughout the prisons, the concentration camps on the streets. It's a term and it carries for a number of reasons, but it was to heighten the contradiction. You know, many people say many people take issue with that term. We say we're not a prison activist organization. We are a revolutionary organization. And however, children with the Black Panther Party had addressed the question of police brutality initially. That was the galvanizing point. You know what I'm saying? To win the people to understand, unite with exactly a political platform. You know what I'm saying? Ranging from everything from the slumlords in our community to the abolitionists, busy businessmen, you name it. All of this is interconnected. So though the present question is the initial discussion we put out there to many people. However, we intend to up the ante, to tie this in with everything, right from the gentrification, what we refer to as the land grab, you know what I'm saying, to the chemical biological warfare, whether it comes in the forms of the Mollies or the XCP or some type of drugs that get blood for our community. And we say free 'em all, and understand that we understand what Ministry of people say that prison is a microcosm of the outside community. And Malcolm X said, America itself represents prison. So we're not just talking about those who are held captive in the Angolas in the state deals, we call it Dept deals, but the people, the victims of Hurricane America, New Orleans, the Ninth Ward, so that the people in general, and people say, well, some people say they have an issue, some of the people should be locked up. We say, we flip the script. We flip the script on what the Marines say. The Marines say kill them all and let God sort them out. We say free them all and let the people sort them out.
Yeah, that sounds good. So, let's see. I'm just doing a time check here, make sure that we still got a little bit of time. We got a few more minutes. Since we only got a few more minutes left, right? Yep. Is there anything any more information? I mean, I asked you some of the questions that I had, and I know we asked you some other questions. Is there any information that you want to get out there to our listeners and let them know, or things that they should know, and ways that they can help the community take back the power? It's been taken from them. Is there anything you want to add? I'd love to hear what you have to say.
Well, contrary to what the ruling class continues to tell us that our liberation will come from some venue or something that's trickled down from the top down, from the ruling class down. The reality is, it comes from the valley, the masses up. You know what I'm saying? And the people, the people must be get to the point where they acknowledge something that the state already knows. And the state recognizes the people's potential. The people are pregnant with potential. The people are pregnant with potential. And we understand, we relate to what the Sandinistas said in Latin America, that the will of the people is greater than the man's technology. The will of the people is greater than the man's technology. You know what I'm saying? And again, the Ministry of News said that without the people, revolution is impossible. Without the people, revolution is impossible. Everything is political. Everything is political. Also, some of the major campaigns we're working on. We're fighting, because we say legacy is more important than our life. We're fighting to save the home where Chairman Fred Hampton grew up in Maywood, Illinois. We have a hashtag, a campaign out there called Save the Hampton House. Save the Hampton House. So, comrades, this will be up to get more information y'all about that. And Scripture is gathered already, has legacy already. How people can support, get the word about that campaign. And it's not just done as some sort of nostalgia type of sense, like go back down memory lane, but to draw a correlation to, to a time and era in which the black community, particularly the low-oppressed communities, was standing up and resistance was happening. You know what I'm saying? In fact, the resistance is happening now. We have to put a structure to it. We have to politicize the people. In fact, Ministry of News said that everything political, we must go so far as to politicizing the gun. So again, again, let's see the time. We are in a bad but a good stage in time right now. The present political climate could be assessed as the emperor has no clothes on. The policies that Donald Trump are pushing out, they have been in place under Bill Clinton, Obama, you name it. However, it's more of an arrogance, more of a brashness, similar to that of the time and the tenure of Richard Milhouse Nixon. He came out point blank. He said the campaign for law and order. Not at the horse's mouth, but at the pig's mouth. They'll let you know there is really a war of people. And we must understand that when military people say that we do not fight back, we do not organize, it can be decided as nothing less than reactionary suicide. We refuse to commit suicide. Power to the people, free them all.
No power to the people. Free them all.
So if there's anyone listening that wants to get involved in the Black Panther Party Cubs, what can they do to help out the organization?
They can email us at Black Panther Party Cubs 124@gmail.com. Email us at Black Panther Party Cubs 124@gmail.com. Support your troops. We need support. You know, so they can send resources right now to Chairman Fred Jr. Chairman Fred Jr. at gmail.com and PayPal. Chairman Fred Jr. at gmail.com and PayPal.com. Yes, we tune in to Free More Radio. Repost it, put the word out. You know what I'm saying? We'll be posting very soon the requirements for membership. You know what I'm saying? Things range from how much community service you must do, how many political educations you must attend and write about. So we'll have that posted on our blog spot. The blog spot also is www.chairmanfredjr.com. www.chairmanfredjr.com.
Man, I don't know. I know that I've been down there with the Triple C's, and I've seen the work that's being done. It's amazing. It's amazing. It's inspirational, and it's truly fantastic. Tanisha, man, when Tanisha moved to Iraq, man, we lost a fighter here. I don't know if anybody could ever replace the great things she did here, but I hope we got people standing up now. But you don't know, being able just to be around and seeing the good work that was being done really re-energizes and gives hope that there can be change. So, you know, I just wanted to say thank you guys for doing that so much. You don't know.
Right on. We thank you. We thank the people. We are honored. We are honored to serve. We thank you for the support that you all have been providing and being there. Again, it's right on there. And again, you said Tanisha being there, relocated to what definitely referred to as Chirac. We are experiencing some growing pains, and we're going to be up in the air, and we're going to be struggling to make sure those programs they continue to be down there. Even our forces, we may be relocated. You know what I'm saying? Because at any given time, I might get a call right now. I might have to be dispatched to Philadelphia or what have you. However, we want to make sure we're going to struggle to make sure these programs continue. So we're going to see the time right now. Also, those in Vegas, we're going to say get in contact with us. Black Panther Party Cubs. 124@gmail.com. That's because we need the people to get leadership. We got the skeleton. We need that blood. We need the heart. We need the lungs. We need the people.
That's for sure. It's a great thing you guys are doing. So how are we going? Cool. Let me just do a time check here. Make sure we don't run over. We good on?
10 more minutes.
So we got about 10 minutes. So is there any other questions you guys had? I mean, it's just so much information that needs to get out there. But, you know, with the history, and then we talked about a little history of his dad. There's some documentaries out there and articles that you could read and see. You know, the way the police set up assassinations, it was, man, it is brutal, but it is the true face of America. It is the true face of America. It happened, it was documented, you know. So, where do you see the Black Panthers and the group moving from here now? Like, what are the future plans? What are the ultimate goals that you wish to achieve? And do you see a time frame? I mean, do you see You said that you saw things ramping up. You see that the people are seeing that the emperor has no clothes, which is a phrase I used before. Well, people are still afraid to say it. A lot of people are still afraid to admit that. But where do you see the Black Panthers going from here? How do you see the growth and the programs running?
We understand that we did not get put in this situation overnight, and then we're not going to get up out of it overnight. We understand that revolution is a protracted struggle. It's a process. I wish it would be ideal if we could say, once we lay out, once we expose these contradictions, everybody's going to get on the right side of the question. There's going to be some contradictions, and we understand that women of European said that contradictions are the ruling principle of the universe. Contradictions are the ruling principle of the universe. So we intend to hide these contradictions. There's going to be a lot of stuff that comes out. People's organizations, individuals, people learn a lot about themselves, a lot of stuff that they don't want to know. We had to combat liberalism. You know what I'm saying? And we had to come to grips with everyone is not going to be on the right side of the question. In fact, I tell people when I meet them, I say, I see you on the battlefield, whether it be in the form of an ally or adversary. So we expect that our ultimate goal is that of self-determination. We are fighting for that precious entity, self-determination, the right to determine our destiny. That's what we're fighting for.
All power to the people. I just got a question. Did you see you have better response with the younger folks or with the older folks? I mean, you think the younger people are really getting in on this and opening their eyes and getting ready to make that move? Is that something that you're noticing?
It's touching goal. We understand that the state, they exploit contradictions. Whether it be the gender contradiction, whether it be generational contradiction, or whether it be the geographical contradiction. They may feel that just kind of heat on one part of the city as opposed to the other one. They may do a balancing act. So they may try to elevate, one part of our community in regards to the gender question. However, we are armed with a politics that transcends gender, generational, and geographical lines. We are armed with a politics that is going to recognize that they are the state will make and raise up certain youth. The state will make and raise up certain elderly people. The state will make and raise up certain men, certain women, so on and so forth. But the politics, all of the politics, we intend to hide the contradictions that we can, as Melinda said, see how you do the state, how the state views you, or as Mr. you said, move forward drawing coming to the final line of demarcation. You know what I'm saying? What's what? And that's what we the clarity. We have to, because as I said earlier, no one is having a battle. No one is having a battle. And Sun Tzu says in the Art of War that the cardinal principle of warfare is to know thyself and know thy enemy. We got to say the confusion, chaos, the fact is done by design. In fact, one of America's policies is to create chaos and then restore order. You know what I'm saying? Create chaos and then restore order, but it's order. So we are struggling for that structure and to get some clarity on who's who, and we have to combat liberalism. People have to come to grips with that. Some people that have the same last name, same skin color, that do not have the interest of people. You know what I'm saying? Let's expose that so we can move forward dealing with that.
Whew. That's pretty good stuff, man. Makes you think.
That's that path of politics.
Yeah, well, I'm not a big fan of politics at all. So I don't think any of us up here are. We see what they're trying to do. We know what they're trying to do. We try to get our word out. Hopefully people will start listening. People will be waking up more.
We got a few minutes left. There was something I wanted to talk about, which you mentioned, the shootings, the police terrorism that happened in Minneapolis and also in Philadelphia this week. I mean, 1 week, 2 shootings like this, it's unbelievable. Do you want to elaborate on what happened for those that may not have seen it? I know the videos have gone viral of the young man shot in the back, murdered, unarmed. I don't know if you want to.
Case after case, you know what I'm saying? Case of Antoine Rose of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. We got the case of Antoine Rose of Pittsburgh. We got the case of Antoine Rose of Pittsburgh. We got the case of Antoine Rose of Pittsburgh. We got the case of Antoine Rose of Pittsburgh. We got the case of Antoine Rose of Pittsburgh. We got the case of Antoine Rose of Pittsburgh. We got the case of Antoine Rose of Pittsburgh. We got the case of Antoine Rose of Pittsburgh. We got the case of Antoine Rose of Pittsburgh. We got the case of Antoine Rose of Pittsburgh. We got the case of Antoine Rose of Pittsburgh. We got the case of Antoine Rose of Pittsburgh. We got the case of Antoine Rose of Pittsburgh. We got the case of Antoine Rose of Pittsburgh. We got the case of Antoine Rose of Pittsburgh. We got the case of Antoine Rose of Pittsburgh. We got the case of Antoine Rose You get the actual footage with the piece that got shot down in the back.
Wow.
You know, Thurman, Minneapolis, Thurman, I think Belvin, I may be mispronouncing his name, but another case of police terrorism. You know what I'm saying? It's the same story. You know, same swoop. You know, the thieves, they come in, they try to criminalize the victim. You know what I'm saying? You know, bring them everything from past arrest records to if they failed a test when they were in third grade elementary school. You know, but the people are no longer going for this sidetracking. You know what I'm saying? People are no longer, you know, giving energy to this continuous attempt to criminalize the victim. People are become more and more clear out of our first response is recognizing, you know what I'm saying, again, that not to get energy to this power, because the media works hands in hand with the state. You know what I'm saying? They have, in fact, there was a saying we had in Chicago with Pat Camden. Pat Camden was what was he? Police review board. He would be the one that the Chicago media would bring out in response to the police shooting. We said that Pat Camden would come out at 9:00 p.m. on the 9:00 news and say why the police shot you, and the shooting would not happen at 10:00. So they would say before the shooting even happened. So the media is the apparatus of the state, the civil police department, and the school system is the apparatus of the state. So you know, so the deal is be clear. And it struggled to stress the correct political terms, what's going on here, the supposed terrorism, and also beyond with a politics that transcends geographical borders, you know, among other things. You know what I'm saying? It impacts us. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's Minneapolis, Minnesota, it impacts us. Philadelphia, it impacts us. So you know what I'm saying? Because you see the state, they not set tripping. You know what I'm saying? It's a common policy. In other words, if this was just happening, let's say in Chicago or Chirac, or it's just happening in Minneapolis, Minnesota, because you know what? Let's just move from there and go to another side of the country. Let's go somewhere else. This is the protocol police terrorism. Protocol police terrorism. This is the message that is being sent. No, you know what I'm saying, to the slumlords. The message is being sent down to the businesses in our community. This is a message being sent down to the troops. Those ministers you refer to as the occupying army within our communities. Do as you will. Do as you will. You know what I'm saying? Even the psychological mindset. You know what I'm saying? Even they don't tell that really go out there and kill. You know what I'm saying? Just shoot people down. It's a given. You know what I'm saying? It's like hunting season. You know what I'm saying? Ain't no off season for hunting. It's the 24/7. Come through and do as you please. The media will back you up. And if you have the propaganda or some of the state-sanctioned spokespersons. State-sanctioned spokespersons that are coming in and use a bunch of nice words and confuse you what really happened. Then they bring in these GMOs, these government-made organizations. You know what I'm saying? Bring them in and further confuse you. Then they bring in some of these entertainers and athletes. You know what I'm saying? These fraud philanthropists. Donate some money to some other groups to get you involved in a time-wasting excursion of futility, running in circles.
And with Antoine Rose, the media was caught in a lie saying that he was involved in a shooting prior that day, and that was exposed as a lie. And I love how the community came together to oppose that media narrative, that police state narrative that they put out. And you know, we had people from the community coming forward and saying what a great individual he was, all the great things he had accomplished in school and just in his community. So it seems that people are starting to wake up to the fact that the media is just an apparatus of the state, and how these official police narratives more often than not aren't true, and it's just, you know, slander to try to make people go along with what the police are doing.
It lets the people continue to be sheeple. It keeps them. I think it's willful on the people's part in a lot of ways. They choose to remain blind to what they're seeing, and they'll grasp at any straw that allows them not to change their view. There's a real problem with people, you know, in this country with that, and that's something that's gonna, you know, we fight to break all the time. We try to break through that and let them see. So I don't know. It's just aggravating at times.
It is a thing before America, you know what I'm saying, the most, like the populace is the most apolitical, you know, type of propaganda bomb, the type of TV shows and the media that's flooded to the people, it impacts. You know, that people ability to make summations. Yeah, you talk about different places in the world. You know, years ago they said people walk around Venezuela with the Constitution in their hand. You know, different type of conversation in Cuba. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, education, healthcare, so on and so forth. As opposed to like, who dressed the best on the DET awards, and you know, so what are the Kardashians? What are they saying this week? You know, so all this is intentional. You know what I'm saying? To keep people disconnected. You know what I'm saying? To keep people apolitical. You know what I'm saying? Not recognizing political significance of what's really going down.
Absolutely.
But however, I think let me say this: when it takes people 20 years to learn ordinary times, they can learn in 2 years of revolutionary times. It takes people 2 years to learn ordinary times, they learn 2 years of revolutionary times. And this can be assessed as reactionary times. We have to heighten the contradiction so people can come to grips with the fact that again everything is political.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's one of those things that we talk about the media here in Vegas all the time, and I think Vegas is particularly bad because of the relationship to the casinos, but when we talk to people outside of Vegas, it's not that much different. It's not something that happens with one police department. It's not something that happens in one media outlet. It's a concerted effort, and it's an organized effort, and they do that to support the power structure, and they deliberately do that. It's not some accident. It's not that, you know, this guy's bad at being a reporter, or, you know, this certain police department is bad and the rest of them are good. You know, it's not like the bad apples thing where, you know, there's just this one cop who did something bad. It's a systemic problem, and it's a intentional systemic problem that's designed to keep people in control and to dominate what the society is structured as.
And it's time to flip that.
Right. Yeah.
It really is time to flip it, and I think we're all doing good work. I guess we're running short. Are we running over?
I think we got like 5 more minutes.
We do need to talk about Kenneth Lopera, who murdered Tashi Brown at the Venetian on Mother's Day last year in 2017, is having his next court date on Thursday, the 28th. And it'll be interesting to see if they're just going to delay it again. They've already delayed it 3 times. They put it before a grand jury to review the indictment that they already filed against him. And now that the election's over, it'll be interesting to see if they just go ahead and drop the charges against him, or if they continue delaying it, try to get people to forget about it before they do that. But personally, I'm pretty convinced that that's the plan, is they're just going to have the grand jury refuse to file the charges and drop it.
And all people is free.
So,
free for the assassination.
Yeah, I would like to show up there Thursday morning. It's scheduled for 7:45, so we should be there at like 7:30. But I would like to show up and have the courtroom be packed with people, and let them know that we're not just sitting back and letting them do what they want. We're actually paying attention.
So that's just Thursday?
Yeah, it's Thursday, which is June 28th, and it's scheduled for 7:45 for his hearing.
If anybody out there wants to come, please do. I mean, I'll be there. Kelly will be there. So, travesty.
If we may also, definitely, we want to offer Fremont Radio also as a venue to put the word out. Y'all can call in, put the word about the upcoming cases y'all just mentioned. You know what I'm saying? To keep us up to breast about the cases. You know, in fact, they had Deputy Field Marshal G. They had some truck cases down there. Curtis Mark, some others. So we got some cases on this end also. We want to again thank y'all for giving us the opportunity to use y'all airwaves, and we will offer Fremont Radio too to you and the listeners, to people there, wherever you're saying, get the information about upcoming court dates, what have you. Again, that's every Wednesday, so we'll put that out there for the record.
You got it, man. We'll definitely, I mean, we stick together and we get the information out there. The more people we get the information to, the stronger we become. And, you know, changes can be made.
Yes, indeed.
I'd like to thank you for coming on and everything that you do to help raise awareness and empower the people in the community. So thank you very much for coming on the show, Chairman
Free them
Fred.
all. Oh, one question.
Thank y'all for having me.
Yeah.
Thank y'all.
Oh, hold on 1 second. Wait.
Hey, Chairman Fred, can I get you to say one thing? Just say your name and that you're listening to ACAB radio.
Oh,
Say my name one more time.
I just want to get a drop from you. Could you just say, this is Chairman Fred, and you're listening to ACAB radio?
Over the Pittsburgh country, y'all know who this is that we do this. It's Chairman Fred Hampton Jr. coming to you live and direct with ACAB radio.
thank you. Beautiful, man. Free them all.
All right, thank you. Have a nice day.
Yeah, thanks. Alrighty.
Well, we had to do that. We wanted to use Skype for our
Yeah,
viewers.
hopefully the
but
people out there can actually hear that. But
Yeah, I hope the audio is working.
It was good on this end.
Tried
Yeah.
a new technique, but
it worked through the microphone, so if you didn't hear anything, then you'll hear it like a day or two from now.
Yeah,
yeah, there's a
Hopefully-
lot of comments.
Hopefully it went through good because it was a good show.
it was. This is one of my favorites so far. I'm kind of glad with this.
There's a lot of comments. I'm just hoping none of them say, "Hey, we can't hear you."
Were there comments?
I can't read them. It's so far away.
Yeah, man. I don't know. I'm gonna have to get glasses or.
I got binoculars. I should start bringing.
Yeah, how do we? I don't know. If anybody out there knows how to make this a little better, man, I'm willing. If they got any sort of technical advice, I don't know.
We need one
If
of
I
those
could get bionic eyes.
Yeah, we get one of those robotic monocles.
Well, I used to watch. What was it? The Bionic Man? Didn't he have one of his eyes, man, that he was able to focus in? If anybody knows of any eye place that's doing those implants, and they can get me in at a discounted price, I consider using one.
Really, just a lot of comments on your guys' beards. Nothing really that they couldn't hear.
More Duck
Always.
Dynasty comments. Come on.
Always beards. Always.
I hope it's not. I hope it's like a rock band or something.
Yeah.
Fucking Duck Dynasties, assholes.
All right. So upcoming events: June 30th, Saturday, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. Families Belong Together, Las Vegas. It's at the Las Vegas Federal Courthouse, 333 Las Vegas Boulevard. I'm sure our listeners are aware of what Donald Trump and the administration are doing, separating children and families. I know he signed that executive order, but obviously if you're passionate about immigration reform, this is something that you should know about and consider attending.
And they're doing
June 30th, 10 a.m.
In Tacoma and Portland, they've got where they have taken over the ICE centers there and basically shut them down.
Detroit as well, yeah.
In
All power to the people.
In
I
Portland,
love
it's to
it.
the point that the ICE workers cannot go to work, so they've
Yeah.
effectively ended it there. It'd be nice if we had that kind of shit in Vegas, but
Yeah, it's been almost 2 weeks now that they've been holding it down out there.
This is what I'm saying. When the people stand, there's no stopping them. There's no stopping them. We force our will to get things done. We got proof. You watch the news, you're seeing it. So I encourage you, man. I want to thank all the brothers and sisters, everybody else who's standing out there strong. You're making me very, very proud. Making me proud.
yeah. And when
Sure.
3 or 4 of us show up, it's pretty meaningless actually. But when 200 or 300 people show up, then the ICE workers stay at home, and then they don't fuck with people and they don't kidnap people and put them in countries that they've never even been to.
That is the power of the people.
Listen, and all these guys, man, the ICE workers, the ones that live here and live in your neighborhood, they shop, they eat in your restaurants, they go to the movies, they have kids in your school, man. Unrelenting, keep that constant pressure on. Shame them every step of the way. Every time you see one of them, let them know you don't appreciate it. Every time you see a police vehicle, an ICE vehicle, let them know that it's not acceptable. Man, we'll shut them down. You make your lives miserable. Make them accountable for the horrible things that they are doing. Don't let them think that you don't see and you don't know. I'm all for it, man. Shame them in the streets, shame them in the restaurants, shame them at your kids' schools. You shame them everywhere. Don't let up.
I saw WikiLeaks actually released a bunch of addresses of ICE workers and Border Patrol agents. I don't want to encourage any violent acts against them because what they're doing to children, I don't want to happen to their children, right? So don't put their children at risk. But they
I'm
have
sorry.
addresses.
And the
These
streets
people,
and
you
sidewalks
can
in
go-
front of their house are public property. You don't
That's right.
You don't have to be violent to the inconvenience of them.
That's right, and to protest and let them know
Mhm.
you don't need to live with Nazis. You do not need to live with fascists next door. That's not acceptable. It's not acceptable. So use your power. Use your power of speech. Use the power of your voice. Use the power of your hands and write with chalk. Let them know they're not wanted here. This is not something that we do. We're moral people, and moral people don't put children in prisons. They don't separate them from parents. They don't do all the things that are happening in these detention centers, which the cruelty is far more than you'll ever believe. Go back and read accounts of how they actually treat them, even when they're not separating them, and they're keeping the parents and the children together. See the abuses that are going on. See the neglect that's going on in these places. And if this isn't what you are, and this isn't what you believe you aren't, then go out and make your voice heard. Make your voice heard. That's what you're here for. There's no excuses not to be heard. When history books are written, where are you going to be in those pages? Are you going to be on the pages that said these are the people that stood against, or are you going to be on the side? Oh, I didn't know. How many times did we hear that? Oh, I didn't know it was happening. Or be a hero. Be a hero in the history books. That's all I'm asking.
Yeah, so people think he signed an executive order, it's over, they're not separating children, but I mean, how much better is a mommy and me prison versus, kids being separated from their parents? There's still children locked up. So maybe
not to mention he's already backtracked on that, so it's not even a thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's not obvious that we need immigration reform. I mean, it's obvious that we need immigration reform. So stand up. Whether it's at an ICE detention center or at the courthouse here in Vegas.
And all those people out there that don't want to have licenses and don't want to have registration and all that and insurance because you have a right to travel, then guess what? Those immigrants have a right to travel also.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's true. No borders. It's a phony system anyway. So.
I heard that it takes 20 years if you do it legally right now from Mexico. If you put in an application and you want to come legally from Mexico,
all right.
It's going to take 20 years.
Yeah, listen, you hear a lot of bullshit about illegal immigration. And it's only, for people from, South America and, all through Latin America. Back in the heyday, even when I was a kid, we'd have immigrants through Europe. And one of the tricks was that they would take somebody from their town and call them their cousins. And they would call them my uncle. And these people had no familiar ties at all, but they would claim it to bring them in. And nobody had a problem. Nobody had a problem with that. And these were the same families that are pushing these legislation through and insisting that these concentration camps stay working, that immigrants don't have a right to come here and get the same type of benefit that they're experiencing now, that your children won't be able to grow up in a better society. These are the same families. There's a woman out there who's doing background checks on the ancestry and looking at the records of these politicians. And once you start reading them, you see them. I mean, some of them were like the great grandmother here 8 years, still doesn't speak English. It's funny. They made it. They made it, and now they want to stop other people from making it too.
Yeah, they say, oh, well, my ancestors came here legally. Yeah, but what did your ancestors have to do? They wrote their name in a book.
And a lot of them came here not so legally.
Yeah,
they came here not so legally. Maybe it was legal on paper, but there was lies and trickery involved. Like I said, they were claiming people from their villages as family who were not family, and that was a very common thing. It was very common. So, these guys are all full of shit. I geez, it just aggravates me because, they stand here with some sort of moral ground when their entire history, their lineage here is based on lies.
Well, not to mention that the justification shouldn't be for something I had to do fucked up shit, so now you have to do it too. So fuck them.
Yeah.
If your justification is I had to stand in line for 2 hours, so now, even though we could come up with a better way, you should have to stand in line too, then you're an asshole. You should fuck off.
Yeah.
Well, that's the other thing, man. I mean, I fucking grew up in New York, right? And if I stood on my roof, I could see the Statue of Liberty. Because I live right down on the docks, on the piers. It's only a block or two away. And the whole Statue of Liberty thing, I mean, we grew up, it was pounded into our head. Give us your tithe, your poor, your huddled masses. I mean, everything was always pushed. We're for the immigrant. We protect immigrants. This is what America, the melting pot, the great melting pot. God damn it! What was that? There was a song on that Scholastic.
They don't play that song.
Yeah, they don't play that song anymore. I wonder why. Screw, man. How did we get so far away from some of those ideals? Well, I guess the ones who have, man, you want to make sure that they keep theirs.
And then we're supposed to be like this, taking the moral high ground. America's so, good. Well,
Election exceptionalism.
And we're supposed to be about, human rights. Well, we're no longer on the Human Rights Council because we're locking kids in cages. You can't be on a Human Rights Council if you're doing that. So we pulled out of the Human Rights Council, and we've created this multi-million-dollar industry now of locking up kids. There's facilities and contractors that have contracts for tens and hundreds of millions of dollars.
Wait till they get some little tools for their tiny hands so they can make prison labor and make all kinds of slave built toys.
Out of their rundown old Walmarts.
Right, and they'll and they'll justify it because they'll call it trade school training or something. Where they're not slave labor. We're training. I mean, I also saw, which I don't know is true or not, but they have them standing up and saying the Pledge of Allegiance. Which is, I mean, it turns my stomach. You're locking these kids, separating from their parents, and then you're indoctrinating them in a country that tells them that they're essentially criminals and don't want them here. And yet having them mouth the nationalistic bullshit that they used to feed to all of us. Yeah. It never ends. It never ends, folks.
It will be convenient that they're at Walmart's because then when they make all these toys and merchandise, they could just sell them.
Yeah, they don't have to walk as far to put them on the shelves.
And I guarantee you Walmart has wanted to have cages for their employees for a long time. So now, the government's coming in and got that for them. So
now they've got like a pilot project.
Yeah, so now they're killing two birds with one stone.
It's more effective, I'm sure, cost effective.
Well, I mean, that used to be a conspiracy when all these Walmarts were shutting down. People were saying, they're going to turn it into FEMA camps and this and that. And now it's actually been converted into a detention center. Not for Americans yet, but just another conspiracy theory that's become fact.
Yeah, and the truth of the matter is it could very well become. You hear the rhetoric, no trial, no rights, no lawyers, just get them out of here. Mm-hmm. So if there's no trial,
no due process,
what does that mean? Nope, we're out of time, folks. We went on a rant.
All right. Thank you all for tuning in.
We got security throwing us out right now.
Yeah, get out.